Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. We are once again in the car, which means we have seen yet another new film. The film we saw this week was none other than the fantasy action, well, it's not even action, it's like a fantasy...
I'd say a fantasy...
Coming of age?
A fantasy coming-of-age thriller.
It was definitely a horror film, nonetheless.
Yeah, it was terrifying.
Monsters lurking in the closet in the back recesses of your brain.
Yes.
We watched...
I say thriller because it was a slow burn, like, mystery kind of a thing. Mystery, actually, might be a good way to put it. Like,
I guess it's kind of partly mystery. It is mainly a coming-of-age film, though. Definitely a comedy.
There was a lot of
coming-of-age, comedy, mystery, drama.
Yeah. What have we been trying to define for the last 50 seconds? None other than If, starring Ryan Reynolds, John Krasinski, and a slew of other people.
A slew of other people.
There are a bunch of people.
There are a lot.
The credits, there's a lot of people credited in the film. So, we are joined by not only my esteemed co-host, DJ Pat, but also DJ.
Yes.
And me, Noah.
And Keith.
And
Keith.
Freaking Keith.
And Popcorn Bucket.
How many people can we shove into this film? Like, is there anyone in the back, Pat?
Not that we want to talk about.
Oh, God. Anyway, we watched If, Ryan Reynolds, John Krasinski. Let's get into the scores. We're going to go ahead and we're going to go up the bars here. DJ, 1 to 10.
7.
Pat?
9.
I have to say an 8. Very few films actually make me tear up, but this film got me. I'm not going to lie. Very well shot, good acting, good comedy, good storyline. I mean, some of it could be a little bit stiff. Like, dialogue wasn't always great, but the story overall was really well put together, I think.
Oh, yeah. Very nice. Very nice.
So
I have specific reasons for the score being a little lower than it normally would, but it is a really good film.
It is. Very, very fun film. Pat, any thoughts that stick out to you?
It was just very enjoyable. Like, it's a lighthearted film. Not a lot of those coming out recently.
It's optimistic.
Yeah. It is very optimistic. It has a story that kind of resonates with adults, but you can also bring your children into it. It's appropriate for kids for the most part.
One of the strongest, like, just straight out of the gate things is the whole opening of the film. It gives you this sense of hope and dread at the same time, because as you're an adult watching it, you know what's happening. There are these flashes that kids would miss, and as an adult, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
You're like, what's happening? Oh, that's happening. You're like, oh.
Not no good.
Okay. And so it starts out really somber, and it just gets it builds up positivity and hope throughout the film.
Right.
And it does it really well with good cinematography, good character work, really, really good chemistry. There's some amazing chemistry between some of the characters. And the main girl, the lead actress, the young girl, she comes across like somewhat robotic at the beginning, but you realize as you're going that that's on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Her roboticism is a defense mechanism, and you realize this as you're watching that. Okay.
She's a 12-year-old that doesn't want to be 12. She wants to be an adult, and she's shunned out the entire world.
And she's been exposed to enough.
Yeah.
Yes. And you're really starting to realize, like, it's not stiff acting, it's actually intentional, because you see her open up.
Oh, yeah.
And the more that she opens up and the more that she plays, I guess, with the other characters in the film, the more alive the entire story becomes. It becomes brighter, it becomes more joyful, and she becomes more animated.
The atmosphere around her, she changes the atmosphere around her, and it changes her. It's like this spiral where the film is able to move forward because her and those around her are affecting each other, and it just compounds to a really grand finale that just gives it really good purpose, and it pays off really well.
Yeah.
It's just a good, great, simple story from beginning to end.
Yeah, very simple. You can have some complaints where it falls into some tropes, But it is one of those things where you can do a trope, but if you do it well, it's forgivable. Yes, it has the dead mom trope. Yes, it has the sick parent trope.
And
yes,
the same
it
film,
has.
so that's kind of a double down, but it worked.
It did work. John Krasinski's character, I really liked John Krasinski's character.
You don't see him a lot, but it's a good character.
Yeah. All of the characters are really fleshed out in what little bits that you're able to
They
get.
feel alive.
Granted, the big twist in the film, Pat figured out literally like 20 minutes in, and we'll get into that in the spoilers.
I knew it before we watched the movie, but
I mean, I guessed it before the movie as well. But
yeah,
confirmed.
but it doubles and triples down throughout the film, so you know it's coming. Yeah. But when it does finally come, it almost feels more like a relief, and it's a really good moment. You're just like, oh, okay, finally. Because I was almost to the point where I'm like, maybe it isn't. That would be the real twist.
It's like a what happens later, where we created a more interesting twist that never happened. The movie sucked.
but yeah, it's just a fun film. Yeah. Major negatives for me are going to have to be mostly in spoilers because there's specific moments. But the biggest thing is it's a slow burn in the beginning, but there's a little bit at the beginning of the film where it starts to feel like it's not going to do anything with anything, and you start to feel it. Now,
once it picks up,
once it picks up, it goes. But especially for a kid's film, that's a dangerous prospect. As an adult, I'm starting to get a little. You're losing me. You're losing me. Yeah. All the kids have already gone. They're done.
You have to keep up the antics and the comedy.
You have to put something in here to break the tension, and it just takes way too long to get there. But once it does, the rest of the film is solid. There's the beginning of the film is a little rough, but I'll get more details and spoilers. But yeah, awesome. That's where a lot of my points come down from.
Any final non-spoiler thoughts, Pat?
Go see it. It's worth it.
Yep,
it is worth the theatrical thing, especially with the sound and the visuals are just really good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, very good film. We recommend that you see it in theaters. It's very fun. The soundtrack's really good. Sound works really good. You do benefit from the theater experience if you have your friends and stuff with you too. Speaking of your friends, share this video with them if you want them to get this review. Otherwise, be sure to leave us a like. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below regarding If, and what other movies are you looking forward to as we're moving into the summer blockbuster season. Other than that, without further ado, spoilers. I cannot believe that almost all the way through the film, it's revealed that the invisible character was none other than the Invisible Man, and while they're doing the interview, he literally says that his kid left him because even the moon fears him.
Yeah.
That will never get old. Even the moon fears me.
Invisible Man, 1933. Pat, you gotta see it. You gotta see it.
It's a good film. All right. Back to the one we watched.
Yeah, let's go into spoilers. Let's start with Pat, since he's joining us.
I want to give big spoilers, but I don't want to give big spoilers. It's a film that I don't want to spoil.
We have to.
It's a bit hard.
Have to.
Well, you already warned them, Pat. If they're still here, that's on them.
They've been warned again.
Weapons free, Pat. Weapons free.
Like we were saying, I got it at the beginning, before the film, and during the film, it tells you immediately. Sixth Sensed it.
They Sixth Sensed it. Okay.
It's the not depressing.
When I saw
DJ, we're talking with Pat.
I know, but I was gonna say, when I saw the previews for this, I was like, he's imaginary.
Way to ruin it for Pat, DJ.
Ryan Reynolds is the lead actress's imaginary friend.
Yep.
It's a happy Sixth Sense.
It is.
But what's amazing in this film is they do some really great shots that do the very similar thing they did in Sixth Sense, where they make it not really clear, like
they're on the edge of the screen, so they could be out of shot.
Yep, you're not sure if people can see them or not. And they do that with, they always keep the camera angles in a way where you're not seeing where people are looking or who they're paying attention to.
Yeah.
So you can't tell they can't see him. Just like they do with Sixth Sense. A really, really clever way to do it. And they just nail it in this one. They do a really good job of avoiding the eye contact and keeping it from being fully obvious, but nodding to it constantly the entire film.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and it's clever nods too. So literally, we have like the bear character says that he's dressed like a clown, and there's a picture that she drew for her mom. That's a bookmark. That's a clown.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, so.
Yeah, the bear character says.
And the bear literally talks.
You know, he used to be a clown. It's almost like his entire purpose in life was to make you laugh.
Yes, and then when he says, "Oh, it's you." Yeah, you used to be here a lot. It's like, we
at the beginning.
It's really heavy-handed without being heavy-handed. Like it's like straight.
You doubted it a few times just throughout, but
they give a couple little red herrings, but nothing to really pull you away from it. And it pays off really well when it finally happens because you know it. You know it's true. And I think it was done on purpose. I think the point was for the audience to know it, was to start figuring it out so that we have to watch her figure it out as like almost a little brutal.
Yeah.
And it works.
Right. It's just, it's decent story writing, and obviously when a twist is kind of like projected out, some people could complain about it, but at the same time, the twist isn't integral to the story plot. It's when you actually know, it actually hits more when you know and the girl doesn't know yet.
Well, there's actually a secondary twist too, which is the grandma being the imaginary friend being the
Blossom.
Blossom.
Yeah.
Like I actually missed. That's the one I missed, which was like super obvious. Like, how did I not notice that sooner? Because they both had the accents, and I there was like these little things in my brain going, well, that's interesting, but nothing put it together until, because I'm like, obviously he's hers. They're not going to do this with anybody. Nope, they did it again. I'm like, okay, well, that one caught me by a little surprise. And she even says in the film.
What's nice is every single character they actually put any like screen time and flesh into, we see their imaginary friend.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was actually really nice. Like for an after credit scene.
Yeah.
It was all
all the characters that we saw.
Cloak and dagger pops out.
And it was all the side characters they met. So the guy that she bought the cable for the camcorder was the one guy. The lady that let them in to meet the other guy was one of them. The one that went to her car, I don't know where she was.
She was the nurse.
The nurse, that's right.
Kind of the main character.
She was the nurse, that's right, yes.
Yeah.
But everyone that they've run into is where these imaginary friends come from. But it's also just, it's an interesting story to think about psychologically. Like, as an adult, you can take it as, yes, it's an imaginary friend, but it's also just reconnecting with their inner child.
Yeah.
Because what's happening is they're stressed, they're bogged down by work, they're bogged down by the realities of the world, and it's just when they start having a lighter moment that they kind of embrace their inner child and embrace their imaginary friend. So
like,
it's just
Blue.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like a perfect explanation.
What I really liked about that was the whole thing where it's a lot of times when they do this kind of message, it's your inner child is being irresponsible or dumb. But what this one says is, no, you can still be the CEO. You can still be the guy doing the numbers. You can still be an adult doing adult things. But you don't have to panic yourself into a hole about it.
Well, it's
you can
being kind to yourself.
Yes.
It's literally them being kind. And all Blue says, Blue's a manic character. He can do a lot of these funny things.
Yeah.
But when he runs into Jeremy and he has his moment with him, all he says is, you're okay.
Yeah.
You'll do okay.
You got this.
That's all he says.
It's a calming...
Yeah.
It's just a calming effect. It's like the conscience in you. That the little voice is just like, hey.
It's the little voice that puts down the critic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Inner child. So it's a very good film, and the other thing is, like I said, it has very impactful emotional moments, which I was expecting it to be kind of a comedy with some sappy stuff in it, but it actually got me. I don't usually cry.
It's deep. It's a lot deeper than it deserves to be, almost.
Yeah.
So what the two moments I was going to specifically mention, like for the knockdown, the very beginning is really good. where it shows her growing up and with the parents and all these moments and the videotaping, and then it shows her mom slowly getting cancer. You see her losing her hair. She puts the bandana on. They start filming. Yeah, they start filming in the hospital a lot, and they're at the grandma's place, and then boom, it drops off, and you're like, and she's coming in with her grandma, and you're like, oh crap, she lost both her parents, but then you realize that she's gonna lose one. I was like, okay, that's really intense. It's a great setup. And then it doesn't do anything with that for like 30 minutes of the film. Now, all of those 30 minutes is good stuff. The problem is it doesn't give us anything else to go off of for a long time. Doesn't answer any questions, doesn't show what's going on, doesn't make it very clear what's happening. And then it suddenly starts to answer those questions. And it just feels like a little long to let that go in a kid's film specifically. It's in a film for adults, it's like right on the cusp, be fine, but for kids, this just seems a little long to get to the point.
And I think it's not. The thing about If is that it could appeal to kids, but I think it's not. It's not made for kids.
I think it's made for families to watch together.
Yeah,
is what it feels like. This is a family film, like what classic Disney used to do.
I think it's actually a young adult film. I think it's literally kids on the verge of becoming adults. I think that's what it's made for, because the message of it literally is like, hey,
like
when
8 to 12-year-olds that like are feeling like they're starting to become adult.
12 to 18, like when they're starting to transition into being adults. To be like, hey, be kind to yourself, be a kid, like have that fun spirit about you.
I feel like the intended audience was around the age of the main character. It's just like that 10 to 14 where they try to grow up too fast, the preteens that want to be adults way sooner than they ought to be, and then adults spend
adults.
Well, I wish I could go back. No, actually, I really don't. Never mind, I don't.
The thing about being an adult that this film kind of gets right is that you have responsibilities, you have things you have to do and need to do, but you don't have to destroy yourself. You don't have to lose yourself to embody them.
Yeah,
you can enjoy it. You can still have that childlike innocence for some things. You can still feel like you don't have to jump off a cliff to be an adult. You can be an adult and still have fun, still enjoy it, it's not the end of the world like a lot of adults will feel like, and kids want to grow up because they want that freedom and they want to be able to do things on their own. But oftentimes they push too fast into it. This is like, hey, there's a balance. It's okay to grow up. We're not saying don't grow up. We're just saying do it with purpose and take your time and work your way to it. Don't rush.
Well, yeah, and don't be hypercritical.
And don't.
It's a very good film to be like, embrace your inner child, embrace your creative side. Calm down, though.
The grandma scene was really, really good.
Oh, that
when she's like, who wants to see a old lady dance? And then the granddaughter's like, wait a minute, I got it. And she puts the music on and she starts to dance because
it's just a beautiful
scene. And then the scene when the guy with Blue
meets Jeremy,
where they're in the office and he's just like, you're okay, you got this. Yeah. He's like, that's all he needed. He just needed a slight bit of confidence
of his inner child.
Yes,
the
that's a good one.
Is fantastic.
That's a good one. The words touch him, and the mirror shows him as a child.
Mm-hmm. Well, in Blue, like you can kind of see that Blue was his like protection. He was his protective sense, where it's like Blue calms him down and protects him. He's bigger than he is.
And the thing about the imaginary friends too is they each have like she's writing notes. The main character, she's writing notes about B. She's writing notes about all this stuff, and one of the things that she puts is their name, where they came from, but she puts like what they do, what their main purpose is. For some people, their imaginary friend is an escape. For some, it's protection. For some, it's calm. For some, it's just
thirst.
Yeah, one literally puts thirst.
But that's like a comfort. Like they're
all for comfort.
They all feel a need that you're missing at the time, and then they project onto their imaginary friends more to make them what they become. And then when they become adults, they forget, because they forget that sometimes you still need those things. You don't need them as much maybe when you were a child, because when you're a child you were you're more impressionable, more terrified. You're scared.
Well, as a kid, you are more of a creature of want and need.
Yep, and you haven't been around. You're not that experienced, so little things feel like big things. Anthills feel like mountains because it's the first It's the first obstacle you've ever run into.
Yeah.
So the imaginary friends act as like this shield to protect you from the real world, but not to keep you from it forever. To allow you to get in. It's like stepping. Acclimation. Yes, thank you. It helps you acclimate to the world, so that once you become adult, you might still need that imaginary friend, but it's a slow burn. It's like occasionally you just need that reminder, and it becomes less important, but never goes away completely.
Yeah.
It's just a fun way to put the message together.
Yeah, it's a very well put together film. Very good story. I mean, you can't really expect anything short of decent from John Krasinski. His other films, Quiet Place, but the first Quiet Place is just fantastic. And the other thing is that he is very good with cinematography, especially the use of light and
effects.
Yeah,
the mirror scene, when she comes into the room and there's the tea set and everything, and then when they set it up later, and it's like all the same things, but all kind of, it's just sitting as junk, but it's the same things that she was seeing before.
Well, it's sitting as junk, but you can kind of see, like, you can let your imagination run a little bit and be like, yeah, as a little kid, I would totally see everything that she did.
Yes.
See.
It's just an amazing way to show, not tell. And it does do that incredibly well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Closing thoughts, Pat?
A+.
Spoiler, it's an A+.
There's just praise for it. That's what I got.
All right.
I liked it.
Speaking of praise, we appreciate your praise. In fact, we feed off of it. So be sure, if you haven't, once again, please like, subscribe, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We hope that you enjoyed this review, and if you enjoyed let us know in the comments below. We are always looking forward to your guys' feedback. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you.